tonight I'm working on Lockheed, kind of quick and dirty. I'm just making him purple. I'm going to spend a lot of time blending him up later. But this is going to be for my Path of the Worthy. You guys have probably seen Stephanie's magic. Super proud of her. Looks amazing. She just learned airbrushing.
Elle says, ooh, nice. Good luck, guys. That's so cool.
Okay, so on the podcast episode you guys did with Elle, did you guys talk about painting competitions that she's doing at Adepticon? I don't remember.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember.
Okay.
I have a terrible memory, though.
So we know that Spark is doing her Marvel board, and it's like 5 or 6 characters with She-Hulk beating people up, which I'm really excited to see in person.
Elle, are you doing any competitions at Adepticon?
Maybe like a Shatterpoint. Yeah, I also, with my wet palette, I almost never use the Citadel pots. We always do the Army Painter droppers.
She says, no, haha, that's not my thing yet, in
what?
parentheses.
That is insane.
Which is crazy because you just did a whole, like, commission piece for AMG.
Maybe that's why.
Someday, though.
They would be like, we recognize this paint style.
Well, we're going to be on the lookout for those X-Men that you just painted for AMG, because those looked so good.
Yeah, so Path of the Worthy this year is going to be Stephanie and I's both first, like, actual painting competition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a stack of best painted army boards for 40K and Legion and stuff, but I've never done, like, an actual painting competition where there's no games being played. It's, you know, just
where it's actual judges and not player voted.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my only best painted award, is player voted locally at the game store for MCP, which was my magic with her bright pink portal, which is why I decided to add to her and make her my Path of the Worthy piece.
To be fair, a few of the 40K events that I did were kind of prestigious in a way because it wasn't player voted, it was a matrix. Alan, who's a good friend of mine that was the TO, he would put out a matrix, so, you know, just a breakdown of, you know, highlighting is worth up to 3 points, your board is worth up to this many points, you know, did you shade, that's worth, you know, basing could be worth up to a few points, and so it wasn't just, you know, players are like, oh, I like that army. Although I did get one of those as well because I was playing Sisters of Battle before the new Sisters of Battle plastics came out. It was those old metal things, and so I basically walked in and everybody's like, ooh, Sisters of Battle, I've never seen that before, and so they all voted for me for best painted. I'm gonna let Lockheed sit here and dry. I kind of did a watery layer just to get that base color on. Alright, so this is the madness that is my Path of the Worthy thing. I'm doing not single or dual, but this is going to be for, I think it's squad or warband or whatever, and I guess I gotta set it up now.
Cammy says we have lurkers.
That's cool.
Welcome!
Hi, thanks for checking this out. We're very new to this. We do a few YouTube videos, but... So we got Nightcrawler. I started this 11 months ago, and I knew we were playing mutants for our teams, right? And I'm like, well, we have these other X-Men characters. I want to make a display out of it. And a friend of mine gave me Juggernaut, so let me pop him off. Actually, let me make sure I don't...
Cammy says, that's looking good, and Elle says, oh, that's cool, I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Both you guys are amazing. So I appreciate that a lot. I knew I want to do Juggernaut. And then we got in our swag bag Professor X and Shadow King. So we got Professor X, and we also got Bishop and Nightcrawler. Bishop is in our roster, but Nightcrawler came in that pack. So these guys I painted, you know, probably about 9 months ago. Yeah, this, I don't know how most people make their displays. You know, Stephanie just kind of did foam and sand, etc. This is, don't tell Dallas, but the floorboards are popsicle sticks, and the wall is a few layers of foam. The window, okay, the window's not done yet, so this is all very much still work in progress, but that's obviously a plastic bit from the apartment building. Stephanie bought a big pack of little model bricks. So I've got some bricks on the bases, but then, yeah, I glued all those little bricks on there one night. I'm going to be doing some flock.
The bricks were from Green Stuff World?
Green Stuff World.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you get hundreds of them.
It's like 1,000 mini bricks.
Yeah,
we'll never use them all.
It took me a long time to kind of design this and come up with how I was going to do this. Obviously, the concept was, let's get Juggernaut busting through the wall in at Professor X. Like that was the main like action that I wanted, was this somewhere on a board. And I was thinking about doing it as a duel, and then I was messing around with kind of the layout, and I'm like, it doesn't feel quite enough just to have the two of them. I think it should be like a trio, which I don't know how judges are think about these things, but you know, if somebody does 6 characters and I only do 3.5, what do you think? Do you think that would be detrimental? Or
I don't think so. Elle says it's a great concept, and she says, I know they're always looking for a story in your work.
Yeah. I was going to do a word bubble or something that says like a crunch, or like what the sound would be of him, like whatever that is in letters, right?
Yeah.
And having that on the board, I'm like, okay, putting the letters on there I think is too much. Mm-hmm. Some people do like little signs. Like I saw one that said Jean, and it was Wolverine and Cyclops obviously like fighting over Jean Grey. Mm-hmm. And like JEAN was spelled out and, you know, painted on there. I like that, so I was going to adopt something like that, but I'm like, how about I portray that sound with what it looks like? You know what I mean? So when you look at it, I'm hoping in the back of your head you're hearing the right? Mm-hmm. What else do we have going on here? Oh, toothpicks as well for the trim and the trim around the window. What I haven't started on yet is curtain rods. So obviously, you know, he's busting through here, and there would be a curtain rods.
Elle says, make sure you add some weathering to the bricks and the walls. I know Dallas especially looks for good weathering on the submissions. It makes them more realistic.
Okay, that's awesome.
The wall on the outside.
The wall on the outside, yeah. I love that you said that. I did do some stippling with some reds for like a brick texture. Okay, so for weathering, I don't know if this counts as weathering. Maybe you count it as weathering. I'm going to do I'm going to put a bush here to cover up that brick that's not, you know, lined up with the rest of them. But I want to do some like vines coming up here. And yeah, that way, you know, it's not a brand new mansion, I guess. And I can cover up some of the mistakes I made while gluing all those little bricks on there.
But you talking about the stippling, Elle said that would be perfect.
Yeah, okay. With a black? Like, not a brown, because you'd never see that. Maybe with white, or like a light gray. Yeah, I'll think about that.
She said, yeah, for sure. I think you're spot on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I messed around a long time with the coloring of the mortar between the bricks. I had it as a light gray and then browns and things, and yeah, I just I don't know the best way. This was my most recent iteration of it, and I think I'm pretty set on it where it looks like dirty mortar between bricks. Like the bright or the lighter grays didn't make any sense. It was just too like cartoony. I mean, I guess this is kind of cartoony though. It is. I don't know what you would call my style. It's not like everything is. It's not that comic book style, but it's sort of comic style because I like blacklining everything. I don't even have this all set up for you guys. I'm sorry. I needed to fill in the space a little bit in the middle, so it's the same bit that I used on the outside, but chunked it up and still painting that. But and then it's also gonna kind of like cover up the seam a little bit between the carpet and the popsicle stick wood. Another chunk of the window. I think I'm going to put it over here to cover up the popsicle stick seam. At least that one. And then we have Lockheed. And I think to kind of like be on the opposite side, like so we've got some purple on Nightcrawler here. Lockheed's going to be purple. I think having them kind of spread out would be better. Better than that, than having all this purple here. I think it'd be, like flashes of color on both sides. So it's not exactly a trio, it's a 3.5. Yeah, I was just kind of debating on how to fill in the space. I debated on losing my mind and painting like a portrait, like a little portrait on the wall that had fallen off and was broken, but like that's just a little bit too much. I did do this freehand rug, a lot of tiny little brush strokes trying to make it look like a rug. Before I started painting this though, I'm curious people's opinions on this. I considered doing fabric work and actually doing like a carpet but out of fabric and doing a little rug out of fabric. I toyed around with that for a while, and then I thought about it and I'm like, that would be really cool. It would be really creative, and like most people aren't going to do that in a painting competition. But then I'm like, it's a painting competition. It's not a dollhouse building competition. So I scrapped that idea of the fabric, and I'm like, I should just paint it, and I should just paint it with as much texture as I can get on some colors like that.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably put a couple more hours into doing the carpet texture, but I think I've spent enough time on it, and I don't.
Do you want to know what Eldest
Yes,
asked?
no, please, let's go.
She said, "Is that grass or is the floor green as well?"
No. Yeah.
She did say the textures are so good on the carpet.
Thank you.
So yes, the carpet is green as well.
The first time I painted the carpet, yes, I painted it 3 times now.
No need to be sorry, Elle.
The first time I painted the carpet, it looked like straight grass. I'm like,
it did. It looked like bushes.
It still looks like bushes, but it's less bad than it was.
It is looking much better.
It's getting there. If I could just get my phone out and I could find it on my phone, kind of show you what it used to look like. I'm just now getting to this piece since we put a lot of time into our Marvel Teams board.
Yeah. She said it's definitely darker than the grass. I can see it better now.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm going to add... I have a bunch of different like flocks and things I'm going to do.
So you're going to add more texture to the grass outside.
Oh, the grass is not done at all.
Okay.
I basically did the mud and a little bit of green underneath where the grass is going to be. So I have some like mud or like swamp looking flock. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the sort of swamp and then do some grass.
Cool.
I definitely, when we're talking about the grass, for our Crisis Protocol board last year, we used that kind of bright green flock, and it bugged me. Like it kind of looks like they're on a golf course. Yeah. And I wanted to move away from that. It's too
clean. It's not grassy enough. Right, it's not fluffy grass. Right. It looks like AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Which isn't realistic, but is Marvel realistic?
No.
Right. So, well, it's like, do you paint it realistic where you're trying to make it dirty?
Or do you make it look like a comic book?
Or do you make it look like a comic book where everything's really bright? But yeah, the popsicle sticks, the foam, the cork, and the texture paint. And, yep, bunch of bricks. Let's see. Yeah, so that's what it. That's what it used to look like.
And here we are.
Yeah, I still have so much to do. I feel like I'm only like halfway through, honestly, with everything that I want to do. Today was working on the wall. It used to just be bone color, so I kind of did some glazing around the bottom, and then doing the cracks in the drywall. Dallas likes weathering. All right, thanks for the tip. What else does Dallas like?
No seams or
mold lines.
Mold lines.
We're past that. If there's a mold line, it's gonna be there.
Elle says if you don't get at least an honorable mention, I'll riot.
Oh. Never done this before, so who knows? You're doing.
Cammy says he's still got to go up against Magic, though. Not technically, because
it's a different category.
It's a different category.
Yep.
His is a squad versus my single model.
Yeah, there's 3 categories. It's solo, duel, and squad. Mm-hmm. Mine is just a squad. It's just like a dueling squad.
She says, "Oh, so there's hope."
Oh yeah. I mean.
But you have to go up against Sparkhammer, so...
And Jonathan Ho. It's okay. We are proud when people complain
I like
about
it when
us.
people complain about us, because that means we did our job.
We did something. Yes. I'll tell the story super quick. I don't want to go too deep.
Yeah, Elle says now you have to.
Oh, gosh. Okay, here we are. Story time. This is not going to be as good as a Shayna story time.
Yeah, Shayna tells the best stories.
But, Adepticon 2 years ago. We're playing in the team tournament. It's a long day.
Like 14 hours.
Yeah, so it's 2-hour rounds with breaks in between. So anyways, we're in the middle of our game, round 5, late at night, and we're having just the best time with our opponents. David and it was
Matt. Yeah, because Andrew wasn't playing that year. Andrew played last year.
Okay. So these guys are our favorite opponents for the day. They're still our friends. We did our display board last year was a combination with them. So we're really enjoying our game. And the way that Adepticon MCP timers work is they call time and then you finish the end of the round. Is everything activating.
Yeah.
So if they call time and you're in the power phase, you then have a whole nother turn of everyone activating all of their characters before you're finally finished. And I think this is true with Legion too, correct me if I'm wrong, but when AMG calls, they'll never call dice down. You get to finish your round, no matter how long it takes. We're having a wonderful time, but it's a long day. They call time. We're in our power phase, and like we're looking at David, and we're just like, we play this turn, right? You're having a good time. We should play our turn, right? It's in the scope of the rules, and they're like, absolutely. If we're following,
and it was a close
format.
game too, if I remember right.
And we were having a blast.
Yeah.
So we played our entire round, even though most of the other teams are most of the other games are done. We're like, you know what I mean? Like, what do? You agree with your opponents to end earlier than you were supposed to, or do what's in the scope of the direction.
It was allowed.
Right.
It's not like we tried to quickly get to that point so we could play longer.
Right.
Like because you can't see the timer.
Right.
You don't know when they're going to call time.
Yeah. We played out our turn, and people had to wait for us to finish that game.
Oops.
I'm supposed to care,
but I don't, because we were having a blast.
Some people did not appreciate the fact that we played the game, and finished it. So he complained that it was a longer day because of that one table that kept playing when they were supposed to. So anyways, we're honored.
Thanks for talking about us.
Yeah. Well, he didn't mention us by name, but we know who we are, right?
Oh yeah.
So.
There's a couple people.
You talking about Infamous? They did mention us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because that's right.
Yeah. And again, and that one was about time.
Yeah.
We were playing, I think Stephanie's probably told the story before. We were playing Web Warriors, and, with that play style, you grab the objective and try to survive. We were ahead on points the entire game until the last turn, and because they weren't beating us quicker...
Yeah. Because we were giving them a run for their money.
Yeah, they went into a discussion about the time and how the clocks work, and it didn't really work in their favor.
And they tried to say that we were slow playing.
They tried to say we were slow playing, although we got to turn 6, which is the end of the game, and we had both surpassed 16 points. I think we had 16 to 18.
It was 16 to 18, yeah.
Yeah, so they still beat us. We still played out the whole game, but because they were sweating the time, because they could call time at any moment, they, if we didn't go to turn 6... we would have won.
We're not doing something right if people aren't complaining about us.
I would say, well, no, that's only 2 times. Oh man, we're spilling the tea.
Lots of tea tonight. Goodness. We try to have fun though.
100%.
I'm not there just to piss people off. That's not my goal.
Yeah.
I just want to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of it's a different kind of mentality. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we like to pour shots for our opponents. We're not doing that again this year. We're just, we don't drink like that. I don't want to drink like that again. So we're moving away from the alcohol. We like to have fun with our opponents, and Stephanie has made how many bracelets?
120 friendship bracelets to hand out.
Friendship bracelets with little skulls.
And I have about 20 war doll bracelets to hand out at Hobby Hang.
Okay.
And I have a little over 100 war doll buttons. And I have war doll stickers that Cammie sent me. And I have war doll cards.
100 new war dolls.
And I have cards that Cammie sent me. I have so many things to give people. It's going to be fun.
I'm the juggernaut.
I'm just going to deck people out in buttons and bracelets.
I guess I kind of lost momentum with the painting. Just started jibber-jabbering.
Oh, that's fine.
It's like
we were waiting for Lockheed to dry. It was all good.
Okay, so I also have to brag on Stephanie because she made our soundtrack to go with this. But so I went through and I grabbed a bunch of clips from different Deadpool live action, and then also from the cartoons with some variations of the old X-Men theme. And Stephanie did the cut for that, and it has sound effects and quotes and music, and it's pretty cool. And we also did a comic book. So I don't know if Stephanie's talked about how last year we were in Armies on Parade and we got feedback. We made sure to go get feedback afterward. So, there's huge Warhammer displays, and then there's our little skirmish games.
Yeah.
And all the skirmish games were we're rooting for each other because there's no way that one of ours is going to get chosen for anything versus the huge Games Workshop displays, which I love those. I've been in that Armies on Parade before with a 4-man team, but it's 2-man skirmish game versus a 4-person 40k team, right? We wanted to know how we could compete, and they started giving us some really good feedback on the Mandalorian display, and I'll tell you what they said. So, our Mandalorian display is some hills, and all the Mandalorians are lined up, and they're all facing in one direction. And they said, they loved the style of it, but that it kind of looks like bleachers, like a show choir or something. And they wanted to see parallax, and they wanted to see vignettes. So now we've looked these terms up and we had this discussion with them. And the vignettes is like little pieces of action and different, like little scenes throughout, right? And then parallax. So parallax is seeing the same thing but from different angles, different perspectives. And so the first thing that we did is we designed the board to rotate. So for our Marvel board this year, we took the feedback from last year. Our board is rotatable by the viewer. So I know this might sound crazy, like we're inviting people to come up to our board and touch it, and we are, because we want people to be able to view it from all the way around. Mm-hmm. Even the back of the building that we have, we want people to see the front and the back, and what's I could do it with this board here. So like right now, Professor X is in the foreground, and your focus is on Juggernaut. Well, rotate it around. We have little tabs on our board to rotate it. So when you rotate it around, well, okay, now who's in the foreground? Where is the focus now? So it's I think it's going to be a great submission. Mm-hmm. So we're really hoping. So for vignettes, we have different action pieces. So kind of like how Juggernaut and Professor X is like a piece of the action, and then there's like kind of different spots around the board that do that. So that's sort of the idea of vignettes. They're not all separated in like scenes necessarily, but different parts of the street. There's like a building vignette, and there's fighting sentinels over here, and then sort of this broken down brick wall. So there's, I don't know, I'm not an expert at any of these things. We just looked it up and we tried to incorporate it when we were designing. So for the Marvel board, we have a little comic book, a little free comic book day pamphlet. We put the date of the team tournament on it. And then on the inside is our roster. And I did some photography. So we did a pamphlet like this last year with the Mandalorians, where we talked about Mandalorian culture, Mandalorian weapons, etc., and had pictures of our actual models. Same thing here. So this is our Cable, this is our Wolverine, this is a Sentinel that, I did a bunch of photography, trying to capture as best as I could. Oh my gosh, we weren't supposed to spoil this.
Fine.
you might not, probably can't see it that well anyways, but I think it's kind of bold to take close up like headshots of a model and then put it in paper form, because sometimes that photography like kind of brings out mistakes sometimes. Elle
says incredible.
Thank you. I've lost my mind this year.
And that Nathan is her 7-year-old's favorite X-Men.
Ooh. And his music, his musical theme that appears in the cartoons, we incorporated that into our soundtrack. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, we have to have that. Bum, 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 bum. Mm-hmm. Or ba-da-bum, bum, bum. Something like that. I was in band, but that was 20 years ago. So. So yeah, we did headshots, everything, our team, and then different. You've seen these pictures already, the different vignettes basically. I have to point out the fact that Stephanie did this sign on the side of the building with the lights made out of handles. She was telling me, "Yeah, no problem, Brendan. I'll just make this light box." I'm like, "What?" And she just went ahead and did it, and I was like, That is incredible. I never would have thought of making light bulbs out of handles and then painting them to look like
40K handles. That's the only thing on this board that's not AMG.
Shh. Don't tell.
Don't tell them.
We have no idea where those came
what?
from.
Those are totally from like the bulldozers.
To be fair, this is not a Path of the Worthy display. This is a hopefully make it into Armies on Parade Adepticup display, right?
Yeah.
So the same rules don't apply.
Yeah.
There's actually a very short list of regulations for this, so you can kind of do whatever you want.
I mean, we had a park with a backdrop and a rainbow bridge and a sparkly portal last year as our submission. And not all of that was AMG stuff either.
Pretty much whatever you bring to a team tournament is what you could put on your board.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you would, there might be a regulation in the rules or the model policy about if you can do characters that don't exist in your universe. There might, I think there's something like that, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember how it's worded?
I think it has to be characters that are represented in the game. Right.
So you couldn't do Galactus. You couldn't have, or you know, pick a Marvel character that's not in the game yet.
Agatha Harkness.
Oh, okay, you can't do Agatha Harkness.
I need Agatha Harkness.
Right.
So I can do a whole witch coven theme.
Right. Like for casual play or even friendly play, tournament play.
Yeah.
The overwhelming most of the time, you could bring an Agatha Harkness model to a game and proxy it as Scarlet Witch, or Scarlet Witch proxied as Agatha Harkness, and that would be fine. It's only at some of those Adepticon events,
the Path of the Worthy stuff that you can't.
I think it's just Path of the Worthy.
Well, and even in Path of the Worthy, you can't model your things or paint them to be an actual person. Right. So I couldn't make a Taylor Swift display for Path of the Worthy. I can't paint my models as different eras of Taylor Swift.
No, and you can't do Star Wars. Right? It's not Shatterpoint.
Right.
As much as you're going to start me on a rant here about how they only do Marvel Crisis Protocol for a painting competition. Are you kidding me? There's just imagine Path of the Shatter.
Path of the Shatter.
Path of the Legion. I don't know. Path of the Dark Side, Light Side, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I could what, Cammy? Make a Taylor Swift army? Because I would do it in a heartbeat.
We've made Marshmallow Troopers.
We made Mellow Troopers. I mean, I could totally just paint an entire army to be all the Taylor Swift eras. And I would love it.
Yep. And I want a ninja army. I've never had an army of ninjas. I've always wanted one. I started playing Blood and Plunder, and then I'm like, wait, I bought pirates? I should have bought ninjas.
You need ninjas, not pirates.
But what was that? I've got off on a tangent there. You can pretty much do whatever you want in this team thing. Okay, so Marvel Crisis Protocol is one of many games that some of those team events... some of those displays will get chosen for Adepticup Armies on Parade. Mm-hmm. That being said, when you play in the team tournament for Marvel Crisis Protocol, it doesn't break down very many rules. So that means something could sneak in, you know what I mean, that maybe they wouldn't necessarily want. But you can't do Stormtrooper shield agents or something like that, or I don't think you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Right? So originally when we were designing this, I was actually considering painting up the Marvel United Sentinels and using them on our display because they're bigger and they're chunkier. I'm gonna grab the one I painted. I love painting chibis.
He's right behind you over your other shoulder.
Yeah, I love painting chibis. Stephanie wants to try speed painting some chibis with me after Adepticon. But
me and Rosie are doing the chibi painting class for Marvel United.
Yeah. So, lot chunkier, less metallic showing, and obviously in a chibi style. But he's so there's.
Do you want to compare?
Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, so let's do a little Sentinel comparison, shall we? Yeah, so this is the regular Sentinel. There's the box of 2 Mark IV Sentinels. And then there's the Prime Sentinel, and I think he's a little bit taller. So he would be probably halfway in between these two, I'd imagine, as far as height goes. But one aspect that I hope we've captured, but I don't know if we really have, is the wow factor, the grab your attention from across the room factor for our display, okay? You've got so many different aspects that you could try to hit, like, painting, design, lighting, skill, creativity, blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. One of those, I think, is grabbing people's attention from across the room. So,
which I just realized something that we didn't do to him.
What's that?
That we were going to do.
Oh, no, I decided against it.
You're not going to do the blast out of his hand?
No.
Okay.
I think it feels better. I think it feels fine just like it is. Like, he's not quite engaged the hand.
Okay.
But, yeah, that was one thing that we had considered. Was last year I did a bunch of jetpack streams for all the Mandalorians, and I was going to do the same kind of effect, like a jetpack stream, but do it coming out of his hand. But I spent time on the light, making it a light, and I think, I don't know, either way would be cool, but I didn't go to that step. I really wanted to use this guy on our display for the eye-catching factor, because he's beefier from across the room. You'd see him a little better. You might catch your eye a little more. And the later it got in the year, I'm like, if we even want a chance of being chosen for anything, it's gotta be on brand. It's gotta be AMG Sentinels. So
yeah. As much as we love our Marvel United.
Yeah. There's a lot to consider. Maybe I'm just insane when I'm trying to design and think about these things. So our goal this year is to hopefully earn a medal with our display. We usually go for theme, and we've been getting theme, right?
We won best theme last year with the park, the double-decker.
We won best theme 3 years in a row for Star Wars Legion, and then also last year for Marvel Crisis Protocol. So that seems to be our lane. Mm-hmm. With this display, I was trying to pivot a little bit away from theme, more towards painting. Mm-hmm. For me, that's kind of like the next step in my hobby journey. We love pushing the theme in the hobby, etc. And then hopefully we'd get chosen for the showcase on Saturday night. And then hopefully we'll pass some of these out and people love it enough for it to make it into the podium for Armies on Display. Taking one step at a time and seeing
there's people's choice. So
yes.
L, if you can make it to, if we make it into the Armies on Parade, and if you can make it over to Armies on Parade Saturday night, you have to vote for us.
Yep. Yeah, so it seems like, cannot confirm, that they added Legion to Armies on Display. We knew that Marvel Crisis Protocol, the previous year, was part of it. So, you probably already know that the majority of the history of Armies on Parade and the Adepticup now is all Games Workshop games, and then it just seems like a few years ago they started adding more, some of the smaller skirmish, but still team events. Adepticup Armies on Parade is team displays, not individual displays. Not to be confused with Warhammer World and GW Armies on Parade, which is, I think, individual and not team. Adepticon's Armies on Parade is teams, if that makes sense. So they added Legion, and then this past year we kind of had that feels bad moment where all of the little skirmish games are looking at the GW games and like we have no chance, and so everybody's kind of like, this doesn't feel right. This kind of doesn't feel fair that all of these games are
against each other
in the same competition. And not only that, but for our skirmish games, one display was chosen per game. Whereas with Games Workshop games,
it's like
they had multiple displays per game system. Going from that to this, they changed the format up a little bit, so there is specifically an award for Best Skirmish Game, player's choice, or
and judge's choice,
and every single judge gets to pick out one as well. We're feeling like for those skirmish games there'll be a lot more opportunity for being recognized. We did our best last year to grab people's attention and get them over to check out the skirmish games, which they did. I mean, there were thousands of people that walked by. But we were playing our Mandalorian music and chatting with people about Star Wars. We met some cool people last year. Obviously, we met Elle, Gonk Droid Racing, and Brent from Goobertown Hobbies came over. We got a picture with him checking out our board.
Will and Simone from AMG.
Yeah, Will Schick came over.
Came over and checked out the board.
We have a hilarious picture that Rosie would not want me to tell you about. But my daughter Rosie was with us in the hallway, and she was having a good time promoting our board with us, chatting to people. We had Simone and Will Schick come over, check out our board, and we got a picture with them, and Rosie is in the background asleep against the wall.
Like right in the middle of the picture, in between. There's Will and Simone on the left side, and there's us on the right side, and square in between us in the background is Rosie asleep on the wall with her mouth wide open.
Yeah. I don't know, for catching the eye for this year, I mean, we caught people's eye last year because we had a big Mandalorian head in the middle of the display. So it's kind of hard to walk by and not notice, like, a helmet, basically, on the table. It's good for eye-catching. This year, maybe just having the fact that it's a spinning board, and we could be actively rotating for people. We'll have it up on a little platform. The buildings and the 2 Sentinels, like having those 3 larger pieces, I think will be good for drawing people's attention over.
Yeah.
But there's just something about a 3-foot tall display that you just can't do with what we're doing. And we're not taking a U-Haul to the con.
Yeah, no. That's just not happening.
What we want to do. So we're doing it our way.
Plus, with only having, 14 models, what are you putting on this 3-foot tall display for MCP? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Last year, this whole double display that we did with our friends, with our team on the top level, their team on the bottom level, that was kind of designed in my brain to be able to go up against Games Workshop, because it's 2 two-person teams getting together, doing a double-decker display, right? And then it wasn't chosen.
It wasn't chosen because they could only choose one. Right. And Tisdale even told us they had a hard time choosing.
Right.
And they went with Jay's.
Well, to be fair, Jay's, I think, was better painted throughout.
Yeah, no, his display was awesome.
Yeah. So, like, we had a big eye-catching thing because of what it was, the double-decker nature of it, and there was a lot of details and everything. I totally understand why it was a hard choice.
It's just a shame that they could only choose one.
Yes.
But that's changed this year.
Right. It's like the quality and within the room.
The number of displays that will be chosen will be based on number of entries, the quality of them, and a couple other things.
Yes. So we would like to think that, if there were 2 awesome Shatterpoint boards and 3 awesome MCP boards, that you could have multiples per game system.
Or if you don't have any display boards for a game system, you won't have an entry.
That's also a sad thing that happened where there was a game system where basically the only display that anyone brought was just a basic board. And because it was 1 per game chosen, that made it to Armies on Parade. Just a flat board with a little sand on it. Okay, to be fair, it was a board.
It was a board.
You know what I mean? It was technically a display, and it could have been someone's first display, and wonderful for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That
they brought it, and that they were chosen, and they got to be part of it. But that you know, there's obviously a lot more you can do with a board or display than just some sand. So,
What more painting do you have to do?
thankfully, this is what I have left to paint. Can we show off some stuff and then we'll end it for tonight? Tell them about us with Imperial Assault and our history with it.
Oh, so it was 2022 was the first year we went to Adepticon, and Imperial Assault was doing their, was it technically Worlds?
Sort of. The pandemic hit, so there wasn't a Worlds, and then they're like, well, we're going to have a Worlds, but it wasn't. It was, but it wasn't. Like, there were some prizes left over from a few years ago, and that was a big deal. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to go to the last Worlds.
For Imperial Assault, yeah.
Even though we're more campaign players, you know, we've never done an Imperial Assault tournament throughout the entire actual tournament seasons. But we thought it'd be really cool just to do it, just to, you know, try it. We didn't want to miss out.
So we played in Imperial Assault in 22 and 23 and 24, and Rosie even played last year in 24.
Yeah.
This year we were going to go back and play Imperial Assault again, but unfortunately it was literally going to be just 2 people playing.
Yeah. It's already pretty small. The game's been dead for 5 years or whatever, or dying slowly. There's a really cool online community, IACP, Imperial Assault Continuity Project. There's a Discord. We're part of that community.
Yeah.
They put out new custom content that they play tests, and there's a committee for it, etc., etc. Really awesome community, but it's not like the heyday of when FFG was running tournaments. There's not nearly that kind of volume. Yep. So the last few years at Adepticon, it's just been 8 to 12 people that come and we play, you know, one tournament. So it's pretty small, but it's something that we really enjoyed doing, and it was like the game that got us to go to Adepticon together. Love Imperial Assault. This is Stephanie's design. Brendan painted.
With the exception of Omega.
You did paint Omega.
I painted Omega.
Yeah, I made a YouTube video going over the concept behind this and what everybody represents.
Well,
what's that?
We made a YouTube video.
Oh, what did I say? I made a YouTube video? Oh, forgive me.
He filmed it. I edited it.
Any computer work that has, or spreadsheets that Board Miniatures does, that is Stephanie. I don't know. Maybe people look at Board Miniatures and they're like, oh, well, that's just Brendan, and then Stephanie's there too. I hope that nobody actually feels that way, because Stephanie paints and she does more work than I do. I
just do the behind the scenes work, not on the models.
Graphic design, audio design,
display
crafting,
design.
Yeah.
I will throw some base colors down for you any day.
Stephanie is a war doll for sure. So nobody better be saying, oh, that's just a Brendan thing. Yes, I've been doing this since I was 10 years old. I have thousands of models. I have a lot of techniques that I know how to do, but that doesn't make me any more of a wargamer than my awesome wife who started doing this with me a few years ago. How lucky am I?
Anyway, you guys should go check out that YouTube video that we posted about our Bad Batch Imperial Assault squad. Yeah. It is Legion Bad Batch.
The models are Legion.
The models are Legion Bad Batch.
A few of them are resin 3D printed.
Yeah, the Gonk is your Gonk droid from Gonk Racing last year.
Yeah.
And then AZ was 3D print. That was a custom print.
In any case, sadly, no Imperial Assault. My Saturday is like, what am I going to do? Saturday at Adepticon, I'm not playing Imperial Assault. Mm-hmm. You know what? Why not try Blood and Plunder? Because I've always wanted to play one of those cool pirate games. So you can check this out on our Instagram. I'm not going to get out everything, but I did a Voodoo pirate ship. This is my first historical game. Obviously, I play a bunch of miniature games, but not historicals. And so I'm breaking the historical nature of it. And, okay, so the rigging is down right now. This is a Voodoo pirate ship. It's obviously not historical. Now, Voodoo is a actual religion, so that is a thing, but they wouldn't probably have bright pink sails. I also have some skeletons. Some of my crew are humans, Zelidan pirates, oh god.
Cammy says, boat!
Right? Oh gosh, okay, I should probably not do the long version of this.
No, do the short version.
Okay.
Please.
Historical game, but I'm like, I'm gonna do my own thing. So I chose Voodoo as my theme. Some of my crew are skeletons, some of them are pirates. Some of the human pirates, I did the skull face. So even though it's fantastical because there's skulls and it's bright green, glowy magic coming out of the windows and stuff, it's still historical in the fact that I actually researched some voodoo symbols. So this is the based on Baron Samedi, which is the voodoo god, not really god, but demigod of death. And he's like a trickster. He's always smoking a cigar, playing cards, and you do play cards in this game. Kind of ran with that, and it's a historically based, non-fiction, fictional thing. But I don't know if you can see on the sail there, I did the actual Veve of Baron Samedi. I hope I didn't actually anger any voodoo gods by making this boat. But I did base it on...
Will you show them
voodoo.
your freehand on the sides of the boat?
Oh, on the side of the boat, sure. Yeah. So skull, some candles, bones, and then that's a back window. Actually, you can have a cannon sticking out of there, but instead I have like voodoo magic sticking out. And then on this side is feathers and candles and symbols, etc. This is my first boat. This is super fun. Like figuring out how to do sails and rigging.
Those sails, can I tell them what they're made of?
Yeah.
They're dryer sheets.
Yeah, I love using dryer sheets. You know, you've got cotton balls for smoke, and then I use dryer sheets for different things. I've used dryer sheet for webs, for spider webs, for Middle Earth, and I wanted you to be able to sort of look through my sails, kind of like a ghost ship or like a phantom ship. But it's not a ghost ship, it's a voodoo ship.
Yeah.
So still like eerie, undead-like.
Yeah.
But bright and eye-catching. And I don't know if there's an award for best painted boat, but damn it, I'm going for it.
Whether there is one or not.
I don't care. I just want to put my boat on the table. Now ask me what kind of Blood and Plunder player I am. The answer is a bad one.
Well, you just started this like 2 months ago.
Yes, and it is in-depth. Not quite as in-depth as 40k, but Blood and Plunder, it's very intuitive, but there's many layers of rules. I guess I could get out some of the crew.
Short version.
Short version. Okay, short up the version. My captain is this bone captain right here. And I have a witch doctor that I converted. So I'm stupid and I go full hobby on this stuff. So I drilled out the barrels on the tiny little cannons. Habit from 40k, you gotta drill out all the barrels. And I made that tiny little wick for the cannons. So here's my witch doctor. So captain, my witch doctor has a spyglass because in game he represents a lookout. And how I am trying to compete. I have a starter ship, and this is from the starter set. I'm going to be up against some crazy ships with crazy rules. My whole, I guess, play pattern is to run at their face and board their ship. And the best way to do that is have a captain that gives you bonuses, and then he gives a +4 to that die roll, and he gives a forced reroll, where you can reroll. So anyway, I've lost all my practice games. It's fairly complicated. It's all intuitive, like I said, so it all kind of makes sense, but there's different charts and layers of things, especially when you get into advanced ship maneuvers and decks, structures, artillery, that sort of thing. We'll just say I did some. You can just basically check out the Instagram. I've been throwing it all up on there. For Middle Earth strategy battle game, I put time into repainting my spiders and adding some orcs. For Braden's army, for 1-page rules, we don't play 40k together. We play 1-page rules together because it's quicker, easier, simpler for us to do. So we're playing 1-page rules. His army was a really cool project that was a paint an army in a day. I airbrushed silver, and then we did some speed painting. Well, I basically speed painted the whole army in one day, so that was a fun project. What other armies? I touched up my Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 40k army. I'd have to check that out sometime in the future. Blood and Plunder, Path of the Worthies, Marvel Crisis Protocol,
that's about it. That's about it, because
Middle Earth.
Everything else doesn't really involve minis. We've got trivia and
bring dice to the Adepticon 500.
Yeah, that's just dice, and then I'm doing a bunch of hobby seminars. So it's going to be a busy weekend, but it's going to be fun, and I'm excited.
I am glad that now, for the next few weeks, I can just focus on this Juggernaut display.
Few weeks, you have 14 days.
Oh, boy.
Less than, because we leave 2 weeks from today.
Yeah. We can wrap this up. I will commit to trying to do this a few times before Adepticon with this Juggernaut display. Maybe actually painting Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Instead of just talking about him. And we'll do Adepticon prep updates next couple weeks.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for hanging out.
Talk to you later.
Have a good night.